Welcome to another homophones lesson. Now remember, homophones are words that sound the same, and we know that because homo means the same and phones means sounds. And today's words are flower and flower. Before I show you what they look like, can you think of the two different flowers that you know? We have a flower that you might give to someone as a gift. So it's got petals on it and you can put it in a bunch. And then we have the flour that we use to make cakes and biscuits and pancakes. Yum, yum, yum. And it's like a white powder, okay? If you haven't looked at flour before, you might want to have a look in the kitchen cupboards and see if you've got some flour in there. This is what they look like. Flour over here and flour, but we need to learn how to remember which one is which. So when we're writing a story or we're writing a recipe or some instructions, we know which is the correct one to use. So if I'm writing a recipe and I want to say use a cup of flour, I need to know which flour I'm going to write and how to spell it. I'm going to tell you a quick funny story. The word flower used to be the same thing. So the flower with the petals and the flour that we use for cooking were the same thing. And I'll tell you why. You're probably looking at this picture here thinking that's not what flour looks like. This is a flower with the petals on it, and this is wheat, which is where flour comes from. Once upon a time, the word flower just meant the part of the plant that would blossom, so would open up into the sunshine and look beautiful, and all the seeds would come out of that part of the plant. Seeds come out of flowers, so sometimes little bees go in there and they collect the pollen, which are like tiny seeds. And this is like a sunflower, which has seeds in it. And the wheat, this part of the wheat, when it opens up, we can collect the seeds that we then grind down to make flour. But over time, they realized that they were using the words to mean two different things. So once upon a time, flour was just like crushed up seeds, but now it's really fine and we use it for lots of cooking. And it took them 200 years to realize that they needed to spell these words differently because they thought, well, this is too confusing. So what they did was they changed the flour that we use for cooking to a different spelling, because that's a really good idea, isn't it? Otherwise, it's way too confusing. Imagine writing a recipe and you say, put a cup of flour in, and people say, what? She wants me to get some roses from the garden? That would be crazy. So we have two different ways of writing flower. We have flower with the petals, spelt F-L-O-W-E-R. And then we have flour that we get from the wheat, F-L-O-U-R. I'm just going to take this little guy over here, a bag of flour, okay? So we have flour with petals is like spelled like that. Flour with that we use for cooking is spelled like this. But how are we going to remember that? Well, I'm going to give you one little tip. When we have the word flour for cooking, we have the letter U in it, okay? And I look at that letter and I think, well, it kind of looks like a little cup. And we use a cup of flour when we bake a cake or make some pancakes. So I like to imagine that U is like a little cup. So if I'm writing and I have to remember, which flour do I use? I'm talking about the flour for cooking. It's got a cup in it. It must be the one with the letter U. Okay. When I think about the word flower with petals, I also look at the spelling and I think, how can this help me? And this is what I think. I look at the word flower and I think of the O as being like the middle of the flower, where all the beautiful seeds are, and that's where the bees go. And then this W kind of looks like little petals. So this helps me remember that these are the petals that go on the flower. Okay, so that's the word flower because it's got these petals in it. Another thing you can do is remember that the word flower has got ER on it. So if we sound this one out, it's f, l, ow, ah. And then when I think of words like teacher, mother, brother, sister, they also have the ER on the end. So another way you might remember is that you give a flower to your teacher because your teacher is so fabulous and works so hard. Okay, so that might be a way to remember it as well. Maybe if your teacher wanted to bake a cake, but we're not likely to give them a cup of flour, are we? So we're going to have a little bit of a go at practicing some of these words. Let's have a go at writing the word flower like I'm going to give you a flower as a gift. Okay, let's have a go at writing that one. First sound, f, l, ow, 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 ow. What ow sound are we going to write here? Ow. Remember my petals. And then I give a flower to my teacher. I've got the ER on the end. Well done. Now let's have a go at writing flower. We have a f, l, and this is like, oh, that's right. This one's got the U in it because it's a cup of flour with the R on the end. All right. So remember, when you're spelling a word, I want you to think about the word means, and then think about how that helps you remember how to spell that word and sound it out as you're spelling it, and think about what letters you need to use to spell that word. Good luck.